guys, it's Emma and I'm back today for you with another video, and today I want to talk to y'all about some books that I think have some of the best first chapters that I have ever read. These books, alright, either had first chapters that were just very, very memorable, or they opened up the story so well and or with a bang. Some of these books on this list I did not enjoy in their entirety, alright? I'm gonna be completely 100% honest with y'all, alright? Some of these books on this list are 1 and 2 stars, but we give credit where credit is due, okay? Some of y'all started out with a bang. It just would have been really nice and considerate and thoughtful of y'all if y'all had ended with a bang, but what am I here for? Nevertheless, you guys, before we get started, I would really, really appreciate it if you guys would look down in the description box for all the links there that I have for you guys pertaining to stuff going on in the world right now. And those links will be down there for you guys to interact with and to share. And down in the comment section, let me know whether or not you guys agree with any of these books that I have in this list today. If y'all would like to add any books to this list, if y'all have any recommendations to books with just banging first chapters that, I don't know, continue to be banging, let me know, all right? So with that being said, let's just get right on into it. A book with one of the best first chapters that I have ever read is one that I have talked about quite a few times on this channel, all right? And that is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. Look, the first chapter of this book is absolutely gut-punching, all right? This book just drops you right in the middle of a scene. It sets up this whole world, but particularly this one culture so well with so much tension and just wow, all right? I loved the first chapter in this book. I think this is the only book where I had to go back and just reread the first chapter because it is so good. All right, for those of y'all who have read Black Sun and for those of y'all who have liked Black Sun particularly, all right, I think y'all will get what I mean. And look, Black Sun is one of those books that started out with a banger and was a banger all the way through.
Banger after banger after banger after banger.
It just would have been nice if Fevered Star had been a banger, but what can we do? Another book with a great first chapter was Little Eyes by Samantha Schweblin. This book's first chapter set the entire tone of the book up so efficiently. All right, this first chapter is unnerving because this is a book dealing with stuffed animals with cameras where people can pay to watch you do whatever. In this first chapter, all right, it just tells kind of like a short story, just kind of like a glimpse into what's going on, all right? Because there are chapters in this book where it's just kind of one person's experience for like maybe a millisecond, and then we get back to the like overlying story. The first chapter is like that, all right? It just kind of drops you in and is like, oh yeah, no, this is kind of what we're doing here, you know what I mean? And that particular story has such a jarring climax. It was jarring how quickly the stakes turned from just kind of awkward to horrific really, really quick. Oh gosh, okay, this first chapter was so good and it set up the overall tone of the book incredibly well. Another book with a fantastic first chapter, well, prologue, but it's the first part of a book, so I'm counting it, okay, is Gather the Daughters by Jennie Melamed. The prologue starts out with very dreamlike qualities. It's very surreal. It's very whimsical, all right? And then it just gets this really weird creeping sensation into almost this like stone of dread sitting in your stomach, and it slowly descends there and it kind of just leaves you hanging to where, okay girl, well now you've read this, read the rest of the book to find out what the hell you just read. Gather the Daughters prologue is a very good example of setting up the overall tone of the story, but unlike Little Eyes, okay, where it kind of shoves you into the tone of the overall story with its first chapter, the prologue of Gather the Daughters kind of just leaves little breadcrumbs. You know what I mean? Kind of leaves you wanting more. This book is a new favorite of mine, all right? It is one that when I read it and finished it, couldn't stop thinking about it for like maybe 3 days, all right? And that is Between Two Fires by Buehlman. This is not technically the first chapter, kind of like Gather the Daughters, but this book has parts, right? And with its parts, it has like little introductions for each part, right? Now, for this, I'm including part 1, all right? This book is biblical horror, and it's a new niche that I have found I really, really enjoy. All right, it kind of strikes a primal chord of fear in me.
I'm in danger.
I'm including the introduction for part 1 because the way that it's written reminds me of Genesis from the Bible. All right, it's worded where, quote, and ... were the first or the second or the third day, etc. You know what I mean? It's very unnerving because it's such an insidious biblical twist, you know, because it's Genesis. In the Bible, it's the start of the earth. It's how God made the earth. And in here, it's the start of the story, and it's the start of the plague that ravages France, and it's the start of this war between angels and demons that are fighting over souls. It's a very, very epic, but very, very scary and just straight up eerie book. All right. This book had one of the most amazing first just parts in a book that I've ever read. It has stayed with me ever since. Another book whose first chapter I thought was awesome was Ghost Wall by Sarah Moss. All right. First of all, I love any piece of media with just a weird premise. All right. One that kind of draws me in and is like, okay, yeah, no, I just have to figure out what's going on. You know what I mean? Ghost Wall is that. And with this premise in mind, all right, this prologue, introduces just this sense of finality and overwhelming doom to the like to the entire book. Okay, this book's prologue sucked me in, and honestly it was how amazing the prologue was that made me finish the whole book. So if that says anything, give it a shot. You never know. A book whose first chapter just absolutely left me breathless, okay, was Lone Women by Victor LaValle. All right, my takeaway from the first chapter is the first sentence. I'll hold up my hand and you can mute it until I put my hand down, and then you can unmute it, okay? There are 2 kinds of people in this world, those who live with shame and those who die from it. So I love this first chapter, okay, because it just sets everything up so wildly. You're kind of grasping for a sense of what is going on. It's the first sentence that really sets that up and leaves you just scrabbling for answers. And then it's the finality of the last sentence of the first chapter, all right, that kind of sets you in. It's like, okay, you know, we're probably not going to get every answer we need right at this moment, but you know what? I'm in for the long haul. That's what this book really gives you, all right? It gives you such a satisfying story to put it all together. I love this first chapter. It really fits the book together like a puzzle piece. The last book that I want to talk to y'all about with an absolute banger of a first chapter is Little Heaven by Nick Cutter, all right? This is also the prologue, okay? And I may be biased here, all right, because Little Heaven is literally one of my favorite books of all time. The prologue is divided into 2 parts. It's the first part that when I initially read this book, okay, that initial part of the prologue, the first one, thoroughly grossed and creeped me out. This book, all right, introduced by that horrific bitch of a prologue.
Me? You mean me?
Is definitely one of the most disturbing books I think I've ever read. All right, the prologue sets up such a horrific tone for the entirety of the book, and it does it so well by just doing something that I had never seen before. It truly was an amalgamation of feelings, okay? Just, wow, this book is wild. This book is dark. This book is brutal. This book is so sad, all right? And look, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to y'all and say that prologue did not have me in a vice grip. So you guys, those were the books with the best first chapters that I have read. I hope that you've enjoyed. I hope that you guys will pick these up, okay? Because even if you know you don't care about the first chapter thing, which I myself didn't really think I cared about, you know, until I started doing research for this video, all of these books I think are good in their own right, even the 2 that I didn't really enjoy in their entirety. If they sound interesting to you, definitely take a look. It is definitely worth it if that first chapter draws you in. Just don't be like me and force yourself to finish a book that you're just not working with, okay? Don't do that to yourself. Plenty of good books out there. Life is too short to be forcing ourselves to finish a book we don't like, okay? So you guys, with that being said, I hope that you've enjoyed. I hope you continue to look out for more stuff on my channel. I hope that you guys are staying safe. And lastly, I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.